because this is the pain that a lot of people have. There's a lot of stigma around when you go to a restaurant, when the bill comes, everybody's like, oh, should I pay it or
right,
especially if you're like 4 or 5 people. And next year we're actually launching a product that gonna make this very easy and very like a no-brainer. Just download Openpay and then you can split the bill.
So Aske, it's great to meet you. Thank you very much for coming and spending time with us.
Yeah, great to meet you, and thanks so much for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. Let's get started just by hearing a little bit about who you are and what is it that you do.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Openpay. We started out in January earlier this year, and we launched this app that helps people share expenses. And yeah, I'm actually the one who built the whole app from scratch, and will continue to do so.
All right, so you have a background in app development?
Yeah, so I've been working 15 years as a consultant, doing work for other startups, helping building websites, web shops, apps, integrating different systems.
Yeah.
Also, I've done a lot of designing, user testing, things like that. So I've been hands-on in very different areas. A lot of e-commerce.
Okay, so help me understand, what is the main problem that Openpay is solving in the market?
Yeah, so the problem that we're tapping into right now today is people, they want to share expenses. There was an app that shut down earlier this year, and they left 1 million people hanging in Denmark. And we're going in and solving that problem right now.
Okay, and expense sharing. Help me understand, what are the use cases for expense sharing, and what is the demographic that has this particular problem?
Yeah, so one of the most common use cases that we are seeing is people going on a trip together, friends and family. They're traveling to Italy for a week or 2 weeks, and they have a lot of shared expenses. So someone might be paying for the taxi, someone else would be paying the dinner at the table, someone is buying some drinks, whatever it may be. They put things into our app today, keeping track of who owes who. And then by the end of the trip, they can see the app has summed up like, oh, I owe this person this much, and then I can just transfer the money directly via the app.
Okay.
That's the most common use cases we're seeing right now. We have also found that a lot of couples living together, they actually don't have a joint bank account. So they're also using our apps or other similar apps to have their whole shared economy. So they're handling things like rent, insurance, and all their groceries. They actually put that into the app, and then every month they settle.
Okay, all right. So what is it? What is the core value proposition, or what's unique about the value proposition that Openpay is bringing to the market?
Yeah. So right now we are just tapping into this problem of sharing expenses. What's very unique about us is that we actually connect to any bank that you might have. So we're live today with 23 banks in Denmark. So you simply just connect your bank account, and then you can get started. And that's very unique. So we sort of we built this whole thing on open banking. That means that we can leave the hard stuff of holding the money, actually sending the money. That's the bank's job.
Yeah,
doing a great job of that.
Yeah.
We simply sit as a service layer on top of the banks, and then we can make great products for the consumers. How to handle your money, how to send your money. That's a job that we are then taking on, and we can do that very efficiently because we don't have to worry about the whole compliance and all of that.
Okay, so then let me ask you something, because at the very beginning of open banking, some of the banks were a bit reluctant to open up their systems, mostly because they say, well, why would we allow an intermediary to wedge themselves between us and the customer. So I think this is a very good example of a company that is now taking over the relationship that the banks would traditionally have with the customers, offering an additional feature and additional value proposition that was previously not offered by the banks. So you mentioned that you're integrated with 23 banks in Denmark. How's the response from the banks been to your solution?
Yeah, so it's a great point that you're mentioning. The banks have been sort of reluctant into playing this game of open banking, which is funny because we see in the United States, the banks are actually embracing the concept of open banking. Mm-hmm. They really see the value here. Also in Asia, Singapore, we can see that open banking is really growing without having some regulation around it. They just embrace the concept.
Right.
Here in EU, we have had some regulation around it, saying, "Hey, guys, you gotta play along here."
Yeah, we see other regions that are fully embracing open banking, where perhaps some of the banks see the value of having those type of services augmenting perhaps the overall value proposition, but the attitude it's different depending on the region.
It is.
All right, that's very interesting. So let's talk a little bit about PSD3 and open finance in general. How do you envision that the availability of the open banking principles taken to the rest of the industry could augment the value proposition that Openpay has brought to market, at least at the very beginning?
Yeah, so I wanted to touch on before also add on to open banking that we have seen it for been around for 5 years. Now it's finally coming at a mature stage where we can start doing payments, because we see a lot about data around open banking, a lot of great products around data, but we don't really see a lot about open banking payments.
Yes,
and that's something we want to be on the forefront of pushing out and educating consumers into this concept. And so PSD3 is of course very interesting to us. We're following along. It's still being drafted. It's gonna be an advantage to players like Openpay because we see that there's like a consent when you give a consent from the bank. Right now it's 90 days. It will be extended to 180 days in PSD3. Yeah. But there's still a long way to go. And there are some of the banks in Denmark that have failed to implement the authentication. So right now some banks will require double authentication. So they're not fully compliant with the PSD2 as of yet, actually.
Right.
So even though PSD3 is coming soon, it will also take some years for the banks to follow up and actually implement PSD3. What's interesting here is PSD2 is a regulation. That means all the countries they implement the law around PSD2. Like it is up to the countries to implement that law and interpret PSD2. But PSD3 is going to be an EU law, so it's going to be like a level playing field for all EU countries.
Right.
So that's fundamentally different. Okay. This is very interesting, actually.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, now earlier you mentioned that as a layer that sits above the banks, you don't get burdened with all of perhaps the regulation and the compliance that banks have to do in order to safeguard people's money, people's data, etc. Who regulates Openpay?
Yeah, so at this point we're actually not regulated. We have a partner called Yapli, and they are our open banking provider. So they have connected to all the APIs of the banks that we need, and we just connect to Yapli. Yeah. So at this point, we're simply just facilitating that. Here's a user that wants to send money. We're doing that through Yapli, and so they are the ones who are actually holding the licensing that's required to do so.
So, I guess the main concern that some of your customers or potential customers would have is, okay, this sounds like a great service. how do you ensure the security of my data, of my money, and what are you doing to protect and to guarantee that for customers?
Yeah, so of course, security is very important to us, and we're like doing all standard best practices around security. But I still want to emphasize that we cannot touch your money. Your money is still sitting in your bank, and every payment that you want to make to your friends or your partner, it's going through the bank.
Okay.
So that's where the authentication happens. You have to authenticate with immediately every time you want to do a payment.
Yeah.
So we simply just, again, we facilitate that transaction. Say, hey, Chris wants to send some money. Here you go, and then the banks will have to. They do the rest.
Right. Okay.
So again, like we're splitting the responsibility.
Right.
So the banks they have all the security layers that are needed, and we just sit on top and facilitate.
Which makes sense, because I guess the banks are optimized for making the transfer, the transaction, and to having all the security checks that are required. Okay. Now, tell me a little bit about your vision for Openpay. So you started with this use case for expense sharing, but clearly connecting to open banking and getting traction with customers opens up for a whole set of additional services that you can provide. What's your thinking around that?
Yeah, so at this point, we're starting with friends and family. People, they have some expenses that they want to share. This is something that's very, it's a boring task for people. So we're coming in with open banking and want to basically push open banking to people and saying, hey, open banking is a great solution for this, sending money to each other. So we're educating people on you can actually use open banking for sending account to account. That's very easy, very secure. We want to launch soon in other markets, and working with this, we have found that there's actually a much broader problem that we can solve here, because people they want to be able to send money to each other cross border, and today that's not very easy to do, or it might be quite expensive. We can actually start serving other markets very soon through our partner Yapli, who already have the banking integrations. And so then later we can add things like cross-border payments, make it fast and easy for people to send money to. Because we see a lot of people from Sweden, they live in Denmark, or a lot of Danish people, they live in Sweden, and so on. So that's something we really want to tap into the future, and basically make a global payment app, account to account, but also working with businesses, making B2B services, things like paying online or.
Okay, that's great. We love big ideas and big ambitions. Now on the back of open banking, we've seen a number of apps popping up that do all sorts of things and all sorts of features by connecting to your bank account. What's your main challenge when it comes to entering the market and getting people to actually say, this Openpay is an app that I want to add to my phone or to my device? What's the barrier for entry that you're experiencing?
Yeah, there is a lot of apps built around open banking, but again, most of them are only around data. Very few apps are actually facilitate payments. So we're quite unique in that way. Going to market here in Denmark we're seeing that's quite easy, because there is this opportunity right now with a lot of people. They want to share expenses. We know this, and so we've been getting a nice steady organic growth. We see a lot of people who are really happy with our product and just embrace it right away. Going into markets like Germany is going to be very interesting, because it's a whole different game of paying with cash or credit, things like that.
Right.
So it will be very interesting to see how we can actually bring open banking to Germany and look at, what value can we add for people here in Germany. Maybe it's the concept of sharing expenses that could be the driver for people in Germany to actually embrace, digital payments.
Right.
It's going to be very interesting to see. Yeah.
Okay, and then just off the cuff here, I think you point to something that maybe separates a lot of the countries, which is perhaps their attitude towards cash versus digital payments. In the case of Germany, they love we know they love their cash. Perhaps also another one is the attitude towards digital IDs. Do you see this as being a barrier for entering different countries with your services?
Yeah, the Nordics is very interesting in that we are just embracing this digital solutions. So Denmark, Sweden, Norway won't be so hard getting people on to just sign in with MitID or your bank ID. It's going to be quite easy for people to do that. But yeah, it will be interesting to bring to other markets. Again, I think solving those hard problems of sharing expenses, we want to use that as the driver because this is the pain that a lot of people have. There's a lot of stigma around when you go to a restaurant, when the bill comes, everybody's like, oh, should I pay it or
right,
especially if you're like 4 or 5 people. And next year we're actually launching a product that gonna make this very easy and very like a no-brainer. Just download Openpay and then you can split the bill. Right. So we want to continue just building great products for sharing, community, things like that around money, and let that be the driver for people like in Germany to actually embrace a digital payment solution. And then it's like, I have to connect with this digital ID. But then again, it's very easy for me then to get the pain away of sharing expenses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So we think that's going to be the driver for having people on board of Openpay. And then we can take it to, you could actually also use open banking for so many other things, like paying for this and that.
So, Aske, this is a very innovative value proposition. Do you have any competitors in the market that are doing something similar?
So right now, I would say our closest competitor is Mobile Pay.
In Denmark?
Yeah, Denmark.
Yeah.
They are working together with Vips in Norway. Mm-hmm. So they will be launching a Norwegian, Danish, and then Finland solution.
Yep.
We will be able to go to market in Norway, Sweden, and Germany and UK very soon. So we are distinguishing ourselves from Mobile Pay in that way, and also tackling friends and family, community sharing expenses.
Okay,
that's how we differentiate from.
All right, and I noticed on your website that your app is free. So the natural question is, what's your business model?
Yeah, of course, that's a great question. So we do have this free version right now, which is great for just splitting the bill, going on travels, things like that. We are launching very soon a virtual joint account that we touched upon. So that's couples living together, roommates, these people that have a shared economy, like rent and things like that. We're giving them a virtual joint account where you just connect your multiple bank accounts into the app, and then you can keep track of your shared expenses and send money every month. And this is going to be a paid subscription. So we expect that we're going to have some portion of paid users that will be our premium users, and then we'll have all the free users who just help adding value to the whole ecosystem of Openpay. Okay,
just to close, we're talking a little bit about the vision for Openpay. What can we expect, let's say, in the next 2 to 3 years to come into the market based on your roadmap?
So next year we're launching a card, a group card, where people can, like for friends and family that go on a trip to Italy, they can then put money into an account up front.
Yes.
And then when they go and paying for at the restaurant, then they can just use a virtual card that's on their phone. Right. So we changed from people putting money up front and then figuring out who owes who, then we're changing that to everybody putting money into a pool, and then they can spend from that.
All right.
And yeah, we also just helping people, friends and family, share expenses, and yeah, going into other markets, helping with cross-border payments, and then finally paying for things like online. So hotels, travels, things like that. We can also bring a great value with the open banking.
All right. Very cool. Well, Aske, thank you very much for coming and spending time with us. I think it's really interesting what you're developing. I look forward to trying it out myself. Is it already available for me to just download and start using it, or when would I be able to do that?
Yeah, we're live today in the App Store.
Perfect. I will make sure to give it a go then.
Great.
All right. Thank you very much, Aske.
Thank you so much.